FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry, Lutz. The date is February 24th, 2016. This is a huge day. It will go down in history, although there's so many days going down in history now. Who knows? But right at this very moment, we're about to talk with our good friend, Andrew Hoffman. It's 10:01 a.m. Eastern Time. Gold, right now, it's up $23.80 the ounce. It's right at the $12.50 mark. Silver, sleepy silver, up 26 cents to $15.53. But that isn't the big story. I'm going to let you talk about it, Andy. And hey, good to talk to you. And I can't wait for the event on April 21st. So many of you have already signed up for it. You better get those tickets quick because they will sell out. I am positive about that, Andy.
Oh, absolutely. And not to mention, perfectly timed, Andy Scheckman and I have our Minneapolis meeting Friday night, meeting 2 days from now. And it's still open. I mean, it's very crowded and it's still free. So please contact me. And as for what we're going to do in Florida, which is going to be a very, very different and exciting presentation, I'm serious. You're going to want to be there, especially with what's going on in the world. Now, you said today's an historic day. And I couldn't underemphasize or overemphasize that point enough for several reasons. What's going on, for one is, gold's back to $12.50, but forgetting even that, this morning, my article, which will be out in a few hours, is titled "The Most Important Conference Call Ever Tonight." And that's referring, of course, to David Stockman's conference call, where he's essentially predicting a near-term stock crash and the illiquidity of all the ETFs causing massive stock failures and losses. That's one thing. But more importantly, even after that was written, which was written a few hours ago, you mark this time, everybody, 9:45 Eastern Standard Time, February 24th, 2016, is the end of the PPT, the end of the cartel, the end of the Federal Reserve. Not saying that they will disappear from the earth, but their effectiveness has effectively died because the PMI service indicator just came out at 9:45 Eastern Standard Time. And as you know, anyone who's in the financial arena and the propaganda arena has been desperately clinging to this completely, let's call it BS lie, that the service economy is fine and the service economy is more important than the manufacturing economy, and that if people just borrow money and spend, which they haven't been doing, borrowing or spending, then that will offset the complete collapse of everything else. Well, these numbers are all BS anyway. They're on the island of lies, as I put it, so they're always goose higher to start with. But last month, the PMI service indicator was 53.7. 53.7. It was supposed to stay at 53.7 in, I guess it's January or February. Who knows what month they're doing. And it came in at 49.8. The most goosed number of all time. The only remaining pillar of the Fed's hope of recovery and raising interest rates, et cetera, was pulled out from under them this morning at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this just an hour after Jack Lew of Citibank mortgage derivative fame, who is now our Treasury Secretary, said, don't expect a crisis response. Yeah, don't expect a crisis response. We haven't had the crisis yet. Let's see how you do, Jack, when the stock market continues to do what it's doing today and what it did yesterday, and what gold is doing today and what it did yesterday, every day for months, like it did in 2008, and when the Federal Reserve is already at zero interest rates. Let me see what you do then, Jack.
Yeah. Because
what's going to happen, Jack, is you are going to take interest rates negative. You're going to launch QE4. You are going to create the kind of horrible stagflation that they have in Canada right now, where you have exploding inflation for things that people need and deflation for everything else. And you're going to cause a global catastrophic currency crisis this year, not 2018, 17, 2016, as I've been saying for the past 6 weeks, is the end game. And after 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's going to be the end game for Janet Yellen. She just had a wooden stake driven through her heart, a silver bullet put through her head. It's over for the Federal Reserve, for the ECB, for the BOJ, and the Bank of England, as we watch, by the way. The Great Britain pound trading at a 30-year low this morning, very close to its all-time low.
Yeah, I mean, this thing has the real potential to just totally get out of hand and cascade, and then the weakest link in the chain is going to break. Will that be Deutsche Bank, or will it be an Italian bank or some other bank that you never even heard of that just basically collapses?
That's absolutely right. Someone, I've been saying Deutsche Bank will be the next Lehman Brothers, unless something else, maybe Unicredit from Italy or some other one we don't even know about, as you said, beats it to the punch. And when I say beat to the punch, I mean in short order. Because this kind of market action where, the JP Morgan bottom, where Jamie Dimon, probably with borrowed money from the government, bought $25 million of stock and showed confidence, trying to pretend he was like the actual JP Morgan who did that back in the 1930s. Once we break through that, you're going to watch Deutsche Bank and Glencore and all these guys zip through their prior lows like they weren't even there. And don't be surprised if it happens in a couple of weeks. Remember, what David Stockman is predicting, and again, the reason I bring it up with David Stockman, why it's so important, is because, look, I follow everybody. I know all the newsletter writers. I know the analysts. I know what everyone's been saying and doing. And this guy, who, he comes from a very good resume. He was in Congress. He was in the White House. He was on Wall Street. And he's probably the best financial writer I've ever come across. He has been dead on about absolutely everything. He is the reason that I wrote, it's now 13 months ago, the direst prediction of all, when I predicted a multi-year, potentially multi-decade commodity bear market. He is the man who, the day before the Federal Reserve had his last major call, the Federal Reserve raised rate hikes and said it was an inflectionary, a watershed point in history. It will cause the biggest crash ever. And I, of course, did the same thing. But the fact is, he had this giant public call to say it. He also called the top of Amazon.com, the biggest bubble stock of all time, to the day a couple of months ago. And he is out on a limb saying that by the end of March, probably even sooner, you're going to have such a crisis that all the ETFs are going to become so illiquid that they're going to fall dramatically more than their underlying indices. And, I too couldn't agree more. All these derivative stocks, these double volatility stocks and triple volatility stocks, we've had all kinds of breaks in these kind of stocks in the past, but we've never had an illiquid market like we're about to have. And we already had a pretty illiquid market for the last few years, but now we have the potential for it becoming more illiquid than it's probably ever been before. So be prepared, everybody, and definitely listen to David Stockman's call tonight. And I'm not saying to invest per se because of what he says. I'm saying just listen, just like you're listening to this podcast and all the other great ones that Kerry's been doing lately.
Hey, well, thank you for that, Andy. And yeah, I well familiar with David Stockman. He really has been ahead of the game for certain. He was an insider, real insider, both in the political game and the financial game. Everybody knows him up in Greenwich, Connecticut, where he lives, on Wall Street and around the world. So unlike others of us who perhaps don't have the resume that David has, he has to be taken seriously regardless where in the system you might reside.
Absolutely. And again, it's all a mosaic. That's what I've been saying forever. He's just one data point in a mosaic. I give him more weight than all the other data points, than most of the data points, I should say. But again, it's not a coincidence that so many things are coming together at the same time. It's just the proverbial wall. We've been talking about the can being kicked and kicked and kicked. And as recently as even weeks ago, heck, days ago, when the Dow was having its 1,000-point surge based on absolutely nothing, and oil went up $7 based on the hope for production cuts, which I've said forever could never happen. And even the parties involved never said would happen. They met. I mean, Saudi Arabia met Russia and said, yes, it would be nice if we could cut production. And as a result, the algos come in and the Fed and the PPT comes in and tries to change the perception, but it doesn't change anything. You can't change Main Street. And we were looking at the Baltic Dry Index at an all-time low, and I'm reading now that there's like 400 new ships that are coming on. It's supply, it's demand, it's everything everywhere. Unless we have hyperinflation, which we may well, as they're literally having in Venezuela as we speak, we are going to see oil, a gasoline under $1 a gallon. We are going to see crude oil well into the teens. We are going to see stock market averages at lows way below the 2008 lows. It's just that simple. I mean, sure, the Fed can hyperinflate. The Fed can announce QE4, QE5, QE6, but it's not going to work. Just like their announcement of NERP. You know, you think it's a coincidence that everything is really falling apart since all this NERP stuff? NERP, the fact when Bank of Japan, A, showed that it's a naked emperor, that it has no idea what it's doing, and B, all the markets fell apart afterward, and C, the whole world got fearful of what NERP means. It was end game. You know, right now, all the Fed can do, because they're basically at zero, is go to negative interest rates. I'm telling you, I know my psyche right now, the emails that I'm getting. Kerry, I'm waking up in the morning to emails from Japan, New Zealand, Australia. I want to buy gold. I want to buy silver. Where can I store it? I want to convert my IRA. I want to get it out of the system. I want to buy junk silver. I want to buy Bitcoin. People are terrified because of the idiocy of central banks that thought they were doing a smart thing by going to negative interest rates. And then you have Europe, which is already deep into negative interest rates. It's on the precipice of collapse as we speak. Greece, I mean, first of all, if anyone thinks Greece is better, Greece, they're rioting in the streets right now, and that's nothing. In Britain, they're going to be pulling out of the Eurozone or the European Union as soon as this June. There's a reason why that their currency is collapsing, because they don't have anything left. It's going to be every man for themselves right now. And Great Britain per pound on a weighted basis has as much debt as anyone out there. They're going to be free falling. They won't have as many migrants, but they will be economically free falling. The European Union will fall apart. The United States, I'm terrified for, because it's either Trump or Bernie Sanders. And we're talking about, these are not politicians. These are people. These are demagogues. And, if you don't protect yourself wherever you live right now, I can't imagine what will make you do so.
Oh, yeah, I can't agree with you more on that. It's just the conclusion of a process that was set in motion really decades ago. Really unfortunate. You talk about the Baltic Dry Index. Another event that's about to occur within months is the newly expanded Panama Canal. And all these ships that have been built to go through this, they call them Panamax, I think, ships. They're all designed to be able to go through the new expanded Panama Canal. And just at the time when world trade is collapsing, that's when they're opening this canal, which is just ironic.
Yeah, just like the Federal Reserve waiting all those years to raise interest rates. And then they raise interest rates when the economy is literally, as I had said at the time, the worst global economy of our lifetimes. That's when they decide it's time to raise interest rates. And look where it's gone right now. Here's my prediction, because I don't predict, right? But I got a prediction. By the end of March, we're at zero interest rates, if not negative.
Yeah, I think you're right. And if you're interested in an innovative way to store your gold, go sign up at financialsurvivalnetwork.com on our mailing list. Get the free toolkit. But I've also got a special report there on how to store your gold for free and have 24/7 access to it, and have it under multiple cameras, videos with armed guards all over the place, all for free. It's available. Just requires you to think outside the box a little bit, but it can be done right here in the United States and in many places around the world. It's just there for you to do. So go sign up now. Get that report. I think you'll like it. It's just you have to really start thinking about these things. More important than ever, safe deposit box in a bank. Well, it's as safe as the bank is, right, Andy?
Yeah, well, and that means it's as safe as the government is, because banks are government. I mean, that's what the whole point of bail-ins and bailouts and now negative interest rates. It's fascism. It means, look, these are all insolvent banks. We all know that. They were just given a lifeline by all the free credit for a few years in the TARP. But, now the credit's drying up. The markets are drying up. So they'll soon all be nationalized. So do you want to put first of all, how much gold can you put in a bank even if you wanted to? I mean, safety deposit box is pretty small. Second of all, I can't think of a better way to commit financial suicide than to put anything near a bank. And that's what we're talking about with the whole cashless society. I mean, previously I was saying get your money out of the bank because of bail-ins and bailouts. Now I'm saying they're going to literally just confiscated through NERP, and they're going to make it cashless, so you can't even withdraw your money. I mean, this is why gold and silver are about to go into that no offer phase that we've been talking about forever. This kind of action, it will take no time. I mean, remember, we had a gigantic physical silver shortage last summer, the worst one we've had since 2008 at the bottom. That was last summer. There was no crisis. This is crisis. I wasn't getting emails and phone calls in last July, August, September saying, oh, I got to get silver. I got to get silver. And yet we ran out. Now I'm getting emails in the middle of the night. We will run out first of silver and then of gold. Yeah. And if you haven't, as Kerry said, thought about what to do with it, whether it's safely in your home or in BrExit or wherever other options are out there, I mean, you're going to be out of luck because, like I said, I'm getting emails from people who are desperate around the world to get product and they can't get it. Here you still can. But I'm telling you, it's going to dry up so quickly, you won't even know it hit you.
Hey, and one other thing occurred last night. Donald Trump won the Nevada caucuses, and he's going to be the nominee of the Republicans. I mean, I don't see anything stopping it, short of health issues, if you know what I mean. And he's probably going to be president after this crash occurs. So for better or for worse, all of this is happening at once. It's all related, and you just need to look and read the tea leaves or just listen to what others are saying. Hey, well, they might call us stop clocks, Andy. We're right twice a day, but you know what? We're right when it counts. There's no question.
Well, look, we've been right. I mean, gold's been a bull market. Forget gold. We've been right about everything. The only things we haven't been right about is how viciously the powers that be will fight to manipulate. And, what's it going to look like in history? It's kind of like you look at oil demand graph, when like right now, oil's demand is barely falling. You can't even notice it. It's kind of in a long-term trend. In the long-term trend, people won't even realize what happened between 2011 and 2015, where the riggers actually were able to go against the fundamentals and get the stock market up and get interest rates down to negative and get gold down, all while the world was falling apart. Because the long-term trend in the financial markets of gargantuan losses in real terms in financial assets and gargantuan gains in real money will be lost in history. It'll be a blip on the chart. It was a 4-year blip of pain for people like us, but it's going to be a 40-year blip of pain, or not blip, a 40-year era of pain because of what these people did to get those 4 years and steal your money and get the 1% rich at the expense of everyone else.
Yeah.
Fight back, people. Come on, do something.
Yeah, you have to. It's just for your own survival, your family's security, your own. You need to be ready for this. This is big. I mean, we've been talking about it for years, Andy, and we're just that much closer. Is it going to be a month? Will it be a year? Nobody can tell you that for sure.
Not a year. 2016. This is what I've been saying. I never predict. This is it. This is not a false front. This is 2008 times a million because they're not turning back. And like I said, today was the end game. Now that the I can't emphasize this enough. Now that the service economy is officially in recession, nothing left. Janet Yellen's next, I don't even know when her next conference is in March or something. There's nothing left to say other than we were wrong. Yeah. You can blame it on something else. Hopefully there'll be something for her in her mind to blame it on. That's all. That's the best that she'll be able to do is by March find something to blame it on other than herself.
Oh, there's always something to blame
because
it on.
the actions will be the actions of a terrified, scared, trapped rat. And she's done as the Fed chairman as of today. Also, it's Trump's pick now.
So who's going to be next? I mean,
Larry Summers.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Whatever you say about Trump, the guy knows how bad this situation is.
Absolutely.
He's been saying it himself, and
he knows.
Yeah, the debt. So he's going to have to do something drastic here, Andy. Something really, really drastic. And
hey, even Mitt Romney would know because, I mean, you're absolutely right. And that's the whole point, Kerry. What will a demagogue who is not a politician, who has no fear of lobbyists, of other politicians, of other nations, of anything, what will he do when he's in charge?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that. Nobody knows the answer. But it's going to be drastic, draconian. It's going to be a state of, I don't know what you would call it, emergency. And, this is the world we live in. You better get used to it. But
I mean, think about it. The state of France, right, which is absolutely in a state of implosion right now, and their own demagogue, Marine Le Pen, is going to be the president next year. I mean, think about it. Francois Hollande, the pathetically, such a joke of a man, their president, he came out, what was it, a month ago, and officially said on a national news conference, we are officially now in a state of economic emergency. Mm-hmm. He said that in a national address to France about a month ago. And of course, mainstream media doesn't pick it up. Can you imagine if Obama went and said that on television instead of you're peddling fiction if you think that the economy is doing badly? I mean, that's what Trump is going to do if Obama's not forced to do it first, which he probably will be. And, you know, what do governments do when they announce states of emergency? They do whatever they want.
Yeah. Whatever they think will keep the thing going for a little while longer. But hey, Andy, we know where we're at. We've told you where we're at. So just buckle your seatbelts, get ready. Make sure you subscribe to Andy's daily missive at milesfranklin.com. You'll also get his frequent audio blog posts. Also, don't forget, April 21st in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, we'll be having our event that Miles Franklin is sponsoring, that I'll be attending and presenting with Andy Hoffman and Andy Stockman. Basically, you'll get a dinner. You're pretty much paying for a dinner, getting the rest for free, nominal cost, something you definitely want to be there for. Can't stress it enough. It's so important, Andy, at this point.
Oh, it's going to be an entertainment event by that point. The way things are going, I could see us selling out the whole hotel. It'll be fun, and it's going to cost $29 freaking for dinner and a whole night with the smartest people in not just in Florida. There's going to be people coming in from everywhere. You know, this is the most important thing you can do is network. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously networking in the media with the people. But here's a chance with the right people to meet the good, smart people in person. I'm not just talking about me and Kerry and Andy. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the people in that room. These are the people who are taking care to protect themselves. This is an historic time. It has never happened before, and it will never happen again. Do everything in your power to survive through it and potentially thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. But survive is the most important thing. Thrive, worry about that. If it happens, great, but just do what you need to do. Andy, we will talk to you next week. Hey, go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. We will have a link up to the event very shortly, and we will see you there. Andy, be well.
I look forward to it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.